Zombie Slayers Alpha 20 is finally here. It's been really good. We had a great streamer weekend and it's now accessible in Steam. There's been so much confusion. I did put out a weekend video about how to access it. So again, let me just recap for those who actually didn't watch it. Make sure you go to Properties, you go to your game, you go to Betas, and in this drop down window here, you select latest experimental unstable build. If you select none, you'll go back to 19.6 because that's the latest stable version. But if you want to do Alpha 20 experimental, you have to select it here. Once you select it, close, it's going to be installed. I already have it installed, so obviously it doesn't do anything there. So let me just start it, and you'll see that we're in Alpha 20. If you look up here on the top right, everything else looks the same. Pretty much everything is as you probably expected to be before. There are some changes for instance on the video options, the dynamic mesh options, which relates to the dynamic imposters that basically is distant terrain updating as you make changes to it. Let's say you put your base on a mountain or something, people will be able to see it from a distance. There's also a difference in, let's say here, random gen previewer. If you want to make a new world, you can do that through this previewer, which is actually has a bunch of options. I'll make another video for that. And let me get into the game. And here we are in game. This is actually on my personal stream server, actually, that is hosted by Ping Perfect, that I streamed off this morning. Had a great time, even got the Mischief Maker installed, and it's looking really good. See? But it is, of course, as you can see in the top right, Alpha 20. Now, there was a lot of confusion about all of this that relates to the experimental version. It's an experimental version. It's not the full stable, and people are a little bit confused about that. I got a lot of comments about it. So what's the difference between stable and experimental? Well, experimental is basically just predating stable. It's just a naming. It's a version that the Thumpim say, hey, we have something that we think is good enough to release. You can play with it. We don't guarantee that it's going to be bug-free. There's probably going to be changes before we hit stable. There might even be changes that requires you to restart. Oh, what a beautiful... the game looks so beautiful. What can I say? That is going to require you to restart the world, possibly, if they make any changes that are related to this, the world save and stuff like that. But otherwise, you can play it. Now, when stable comes, the stable will be the latest version and will just continue into, let's say, 20.1, 20.2, etc. So I wouldn't really worry too much about it being named experimental. It just means that there's likely to be more bugs than a regular version. But regular versions have bugs as well, so it doesn't really matter at all. And oh, that got so pretty. I love it. I love it. The game is just beautiful, and if you look across the town, you see I'm sort of in a commercial area. Commercial? It's not a business. Commercial. Would this it probably be considered commercial area? But you can see the roads, and this is a randomly generated world. It's not Naviscan or the Pregen, but you see it comes in here from, I think that's a mountain. Something comes in, and you get the lane markings. And it goes into a bit more of the business area, which is next to the Cracker Book and everything. And it's really, really good. I'm really enjoying it. It looks so much better than before. But anyway, I would just play it. But you do have to actively opt into it. Some people are waiting for Steam to update it automatically, and it will not do that because Steam only auto updates stable versions. Meaning if you're in 19.6 and you're waiting for 19.7, then yes, 19.7 would be picked up automatically, but experimental versions will not be auto picked up until you actively select it. Now, if you select the latest unstable build latest experimental unstable build, whatever it's called, then whenever the experimental build is being updated, it will actually auto update because you've already opted into it. So that's really what's going to happen, but make sure you opt into it. And if you do have issues as you install it, meaning that you see the I'm going to do that. You see the... Why don't I see that? This one. If you see this one pop up, which is the command console, and there's a lot of red, yellow problems and everything as you do that, it probably means that you might have some mods that were in Alpha 19 that are not compatible. Then just exit out, go to the mods folder and just delete it and try it again. If that doesn't work, delete the whole game folder that I showed in the video yesterday, the day before, and try reinstalling that way, because it should work for most people. You could still have some driver issues that requires you to update your video drivers, your GPU drivers. That could also be an issue, but for me it's been really smooth. I haven't had any problems, really, no crashes. It installed flawlessly for me. Of course, I did delete the whole folder just because I wanted to make sure I had a clean install. So go ahead, try it out, and then come back and let me know what you think the version is holding for you. Is it very different? Is it too much the same? There are some things inside that I don't really like yet. Farming is getting or has gotten quite a change, and I think it will get more tweaks because it's gotten super grindy and not in a very good way. But I think a great game has gotten even greater. Stable will probably be out, and I would expect sometime in January, mid to late January, because there's going to be a bunch of cycles where they're bug fixing, they're testing, they're releasing, and they're going to have Christmas, and then it's going to be in January already. So yeah, probably mid-January, maybe late January as well, depending. But it doesn't matter. Just enjoy the game, and hopefully there's nothing critical that requires big restarts every time we get a new version, because then we can just play it into stable Alpha 20 and onwards. But I will be streaming a few times a week, so come and watch me on stream, either on YouTube or twitch.tv/Vedui42, and just join in and chat. See you again, Survivor.
Special thanks to the great patrons supporting the channel. If you would like to join the Vedui community and support these videos, do follow the Patreon link.